Boom, we're back. Stun's podcast. I have you on an iPad set up right next to the camera, but it's on a Temu stand that I think it weighs negative gravity. So like iPad isn't in it. It literally lifts up into the air. So I just like tapped it with my toe and I'm how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm down in Hilton Head and I have you like on a table on a nightstand with the laptop on top of it just to be I can't sit for that long. I have to kind of like pace and uh yeah,
No,
anything that I have to be awake for like this.
the idea of your kids waking up and coming out and finding you just talking to a guy like in the middle
Yeah.
of it's super early there, right? It's like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 4:30. Even weirder because this is like a family reunion. They're like my nieces are all asleep here. That's who I really don't want to wake up. Like I kept checking with my sister, like if I, was crank the sound machines up, like I'm gonna be down there talking.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, no. So we'll see. That's who I'm worried about. I'm worried about like one of my nieces coming down and it being very confusing what this is and not being like close enough to them to be like, it's just me working. Like they have no idea what the fuck's going
Especially
on.
if you're not wearing pants. So that makes
Yeah, it's gonna be even
no
weirder.
me neither.
Is it's gonna be good framing for it. But
So
yeah, man.
we talked about talking about some our childhoods, but maybe not in the therapy way, because I have plenty I could share. Heavy and dark, sad, formative. But I feel like childhood has all these, like right now, if your nieces or your kids came downstairs, they would see you standing in the kitchen talking to a guy on a screen. And that would probably stick in their head for a long time before they figured out what actually was happening. They'd have some weird idea of what was happening. So,
Right.
like, there's so many of those things where you have an idea of something from when you're a kid, and that's just reality, or something really horrifically embarrassing happens. Like, I have something that's horrifically embarrassing that I was so ashamed of and like horrified of anyone knowing about until I got a little older. And then now I just tell people like it's a badge of honor.
Right. Yeah, I
And
think
your family has been coming down to Hilton Head at this house your whole life, or
yeah, no, I've been coming here since I was a little kid, and I have been thinking a lot about the childhood stuff just being down here, obviously watching my son, but there's like 15 kids down here on this trip. Like there's 70 people maybe, and 15 of them are like yeah, 70 people and 15 of them are under 7 years old. Like it's yeah. And then there's kids, ranging up to like, I think one of them's 22, 23. And that's like my grandfather's grandchildren and their children, which are my kids. Um, and thinking about like the way I've interacted with this place and the different times in my life, like I lived down here for a year, but obviously not as a kid, but all the memories I have like coming down here and I look at them and I'm like, how much of this are you really going to remember? You know what I mean? Like, are you can any of it just a feeling? Will there be a feeling tied? Like, is it all boiled down to just this feeling of this place? And if it's compounded with more time here, that's just the root is like, there were good times all the way back to when I was 2.5 years old or whatever, like for my youngest son. It's like, well, what is it? What is like a memory and all that kind of stuff? It just got me thinking about that. Cause I look at I was thinking about these childhood memories. I really have like early memories tied to my sisters when they were being born, but there's a really long gap where I can't like tell you anything that happened for like when they were born, which was like 3, 4 years old to like 10, and like 10, I start like logging some stuff. Um, but anyway, yeah. So being down here really like does make you think about that. And people are asking me different things and it just jars the memory a little bit on it.
yeah. I mean, it's my family would go to the beach when I was a kid, and like they would just rent like a beach house. It would be a similar thing. Like there would be various factions of family would all come, and there would be a beach house rented, and we would all stay in this beach house in Rehoboth, Delaware. Uh, but it was always different. So like I feel like I have these really powerful memories, but they're not as I think something about coming back to the same place every year, and then now your kids are going there, uh, probably resonates.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's yeah, getting to show like watching my son, who's like really he's been to beaches, but he's in Greece, and those beaches are very specific. They're like the rock. You get up to the water's edge, they drop off very quick. They're not like that intro to the water is not very friendly for a 2 year old, 3 year old. But here it's this like very gradual kind of standard, sand into the water. You can walk forever and still be in your shins or whatever and give them like, it gives him like that experience to just kind of transition into it and do it on his own. And he's gaining like at 4 years old, like some autonomy. And so just watching him like make up games with the waves and shit, like, and he was just so into it. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna like would you remember this? Would there be like a snippet little memory of like a little vignette? Like I remember, just the heightened fun. I think so much of it's tied to like, at least for me, emotions. Like I think about my sisters, like there's no reason for me as a 3 year old to really have logged that, but it must have been that the emotions around me were so heightened that I took on like I took on understood the importance. I would have been 3, so that means I'm younger than my oldest son right now. So to think that you're 40 years down the line and you can like remember, I can remember where I was when I was told they were born. I can remember when they were born. I remember who drove me to get them, like all the energy around it. Um, anyway, so I think the emotion is like so much of it.
Oh, for sure. Do you have like an earliest memory?
It's
Like if
probably
you
that.
like I have one it's like an image that like I've just always held as like my earliest memory that I can furthest back I'm aware of remembering is like this particular image.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
it was,
in my face. No, just kidding.
how old were you?
I was probably 2 or 3. 2 or
Yeah.
3. Probably 3 to be honest, maybe even 4. It was just that my cousins were over. I was at my grandparents' house. My cousins were there. We were playing hide and seek. And I remember like looking for my cousin and coming around the bed. My grandmother had a waterbed and like coming around the waterbed, but I could like see his back poking up from the other side of it. So I knew he was there. It was like, so I think my thought was like, oh, it's so easy. Like it's such a terrible hiding space. He's not even really hiding. That's like, and I would say I have like a double. You know how you sometimes have a memory, then you have a memory of a memory. So like, I have a memory of a memory. I remember when I was okay. Let me probably when I was older than that. So I don't know, maybe like around 6, 7, 8. I remember remembering when I could just crawl, and I remember like I had this memory of crawling up the stairs of my grandmother's house. And what's kind of heavy about it is I remember then remembering that I was like happier when I was crawling around. I was like light, it was lighter. It was the first sense that like life gets heavier as you get older,
Wow.
which is just true. But like I think you have to just adapt to the fact that life gets heavier. But like I remember thinking like I just remember thinking how like life was light and simple, and I was just crawling up the stairs to see what was at the top of the stairs. Where I'm like 7 years old, I'm like, man, things are so much better.
Seven's when the burden starts, so totally,
Oh,
it makes sense. And especially, I would bet if you have any other the 7-year-olds in this circle, they can see kids that go all the way back to like only 8 months old. So I wonder if they're starting to like, and like their parents expect more of them. And I wonder, and they see the like 3-year-olds getting away with shit. Do they already see like, oh damn it, it was like I see over there they're just getting to like drink milk and watch a movie while I have to like clean this up, like uh yeah. I wonder if that even like helps propel it. You get a little sense of what it was.
did you have any relatives when you were younger that were, I mean, you must have, guessing maybe uncles? Your grandfather bought the house? Was he the first to acquire the house?
In Hilton Head?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so there were like, I think we had been coming down here for a couple years before, and one of my aunts lived down here, uh, and there was like a tie, like they had a beach house here, something like that, and the people didn't live here, but we would like come down. One of my aunts had a beach house, and so my grandpa probably bought it when we were like 10 years old, maybe 9, 10 years old. So they sold it, that beach house that we all spent time in during the other Dave. Uh, but they owned it for like 25 years, you
I
know,
was going to ask if that was, if anyone's listening to this, we made this documentary back. God, what year was that? Like
2011.
2011?
Yeah. 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Cause it came out, I always like, I had the South by Southwest, that was 2013. That would have been spring. So that was it over. So and we were editing, I feel like all the way through that. And we probably recorded or filmed it that like winter before that in 2012. Um, yeah.
Yeah. But it was a documentary we filmed in Hilton Head following this guy. Is he still around?
You know what? I'm sure he is. I can't imagine.
I don't think it's, I think you can say his name. I mean, he's in the documentary. The documentary is called The Other Dave.
Yeah.
Got struck by lightning and had all these health issues, but it kind of like supercharged his personality is a nice way to put it. Like he became like like it kind of like electrocuted autism into him or something. But anyway, yeah, I just remember we filmed down there. I was wondering if that was the house where we filmed. I remember being in, but it was the other house. I was in the basement with I stayed in the basement or something. I stayed in a room with what's his name? Guy with the beard, brain fart.
Yeah.
And I remember explaining to him, like, bro, just so you know, sometimes I have these night terrors where I'm up screaming like I'm being murdered. But if that happens, don't worry. It happens all the time. I don't even know it happens half the time. And, you know, I was just expecting, because he's a pretty like, he doesn't pull punches. You know, he'll just say it like it
Yeah.
is. I was expecting him to be like, oh man, what the fuck's wrong with you? Or I don't know. Like he was so cool about it. That's talk about memories. He was
Yeah.
just like, he was like, I would never, he was, he gets me choked up. It was just so unexpectedly cool of him. He was like, I would never criticize you for that. Something like, it was just like, he made it very clear, like, don't worry, you don't have anything to worry about. But like, it's like, wow, thank you. Anyway, I
That's great.
was going to ask you
Of that friend that I just won't name because we shouldn't name if we don't have to. He's a great, authentic, like that moment, like you just like that, the not pulling punches is an authentic quality, but then also in those moments of like empathy, he will very often like surprise you with oh yeah, fuck, I forgot like you're just a very empathetic person. And yeah, man, I don't know. That's cool. That's a cool memory to have. And I have a few of those of him that are like, yeah, man, just like real bonding moments. And then he turns around, he's like a huge asshole right afterwards. But you know, yeah, man.
but I was going to ask you, like, do you have any memories of like people your age now, then, like when you were a kid, was there anyone that's like, we're both 40. Like, was there anyone around that age? You know, it's that thing
Y-
of like generations, like this weird folding of things where it's like, oh, they were my age now, and then now you're this age, and then one day your kids are going to be your age. They're probably going to have kids, as long as we all don't die from war or pandemic. Just the way that works is
Yeah, as you start to like see like again that I'm having like a lot of those flashes here while I'm down here with my kids, but y- any of these little like vignette things of the memories that I'll have that my uncles are tied to, I don't really think of their age, you know? And then you start to think, as you start to see you being an uncle to your own nieces and nephews, it's hard to not think like, oh yeah, they would have been doing this exact same thing with me, which is weird because your relationship with them changes so much. Like I think about my uncles now, but I'm like, were they down on the ground, like being goofy, throwing me around, like doing all this kind of stuff? Like, uh, and if they were, then it explains the like love that's still there, that like weirdly I don't remember that stuff. So like I'm always, sometimes there's a times where you're just like, this person really would like do anything for me or whatever. If you're lucky to have good uncles, I guess these guys are good. These guys are good. But just looking at them like, yeah, you must have been you. And then a lot of people with my oldest son are telling me like, dude, this looks just like you. And I'm watching them. That's why all this stuff is coming up with them. They're watching me be like, dude, this is you. Like, this is you. And that's like, I don't see that because I'm with the kid all the time. But anytime somebody sees my oldest son, they're like, dude, that looks just like, And so even my one aunt, it just keeps going up to him and calling him Pasquale. Like, and he's just, as like a little joke between the two of them. Uh, anyway, so it is kind of like, I feel like I'm watching myself go through all of this again. It's just that weird, like, trippy thing. I don't know. I've tangent and forgotten what I was talking about in the first place, but
Yeah. Why was it just that idea of like you're the age of maybe your uncles when you were a kid or something like that? I mean,
right.
I don't know if you've ever done this, but I do every once in a while. Like I'll be like for instance, I was watching The Sopranos probably a year ago. Season one. I'm like, how old was James Gandolfini in season one of The Sopranos? 38. So it's like I'm older now, or maybe 37, 37, 38. It's like I'm older. I'm 3 years older than Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
What the, what the fuck? Or like watch different movies that you watched when you were younger, and like those people seem so old. They seem like those are adults. They're not just adults; they're middle-aged adults. You
Right.
know, and then you look up the age that they were when that movie was made. Like I don't know. There's a bunch. Like how old was Forrest Gump? Or sorry, how old was Tom Hanks when Forrest Gump was made? And it's like they're so young that you're
Right.
just like, oh fuck, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, man. That was we just watched Mad Men, and that was us with all of John Hamm. Just like God, because he looks like a real man. You know what I mean? And you're just like looking at yourself, like, Jesus, dude, I don't look like he looks more like a man at 35 than I will at 40 or 45 or 50. Like, it's
I,
amazing.
it's like I don't know, like I pictured or like George Clooney, any I always said like in my 30s, like I'm entering my Clooney years. I'm kind of leaving my Clooney years at a second where I look like George Clooney. So I don't know. Just I don't know. Like there aren't really any famous people that look like me. Like I don't know. You know who looks like me? The gay guy from Modern Family,
Yeah, yeah,
one of
yeah,
the gay guys. You'll know which one. The
yeah.
one that
The
looks like
brother one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Mitch.
There you go. Like
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that show. I'm like,
You
ooh.
do kind of look at. Yeah, yeah. That's funny. Never thought that. Now I'm looking at you like, yeah, dude.
Sometimes I swear, sometimes people look at me like they double take. Like this happens. Like people double take, and I think they think I'm like him or something. They think I'm somebody. I feel like they think I'm somebody. They
That's funny.
think I'm somebody, and I'm like, I'm actually nobody. Sorry, but anyway.
One time I got confused for that. Not confused for, but some woman just kept, and I was like, "What's going on?" And she thought I was this Russian tennis player.
Oh,
It's a last name begins with a D. That's the only time I've ever been confused. Yeah, yeah,
Novak Djokovic.
yep.
I think he's Serbian.
Yeah. She was going to go play tennis at the Astoria courts. I was walking just to my apartment. She kept like turning around and she was like, are you? And I was like, I'm nobody. And she's like, oh my God, you look like, and started saying, are you going to go play tennis? I'm like, no, man, just go to my house right here. She was like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, whatever. Like it was just, and then I had to go look the dude up. It's like, who is this? Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it though. In terms of like, yeah, man.
I feel like when you were younger, you maybe kind of looked like the Ryan character from The Office. You ever
Oh,
get
that's
that?
right. I had gotten that. And when I was younger, actually, I would get Elijah Wood from Flipper. I remember that. And actually, it's funny because my wife was like, doesn't like kind of Leo kind of look like a young Elijah Wood? I was like, dude, people used to tell me that he is really, I guess, starting to look like me more and more. But anyway, having somebody like a generation later reference back to Elijah Wood when I was young, and people used to call me that. It's like, yep, there you go.
But now Elijah Wood's old.
Yeah, and I'm looking at him like there's no resemblance anymore. So it's weird to be like, you could look just like this kid a little, when you're little.
Or like
Yeah.
the guy that played the other Hobbit, Rudy, the guy that played Rudy,
Mm, mm,
that guy, unfortunately, that guy didn't age well. He
yeah.
was in Stranger Things for a season, and then they do him dirty. He gets killed by the dog.
Right, right.
But man, anyway, we were going to talk about like some childhood memories. So I well I I'll just I have one really specific one, but it very much ties into your other podcast. So I thought we could plug that.
Oh,
So
totally, man.
because you tell me about the podcast, and then I'm going to tell you my story that would align perfectly with that podcast.
Yeah, we have a podcast called Oops, I Pooped. And it's just stories about, shitting yourself, being in situations where shit is kind of running the story. And it's a storytelling podcast. We're trying to get as many people to like kind of come on and share their story and joke about it a little bit. And in order to kind of break the ice on that, it's essentially me telling shit stories to other people because I, have had an irritable bowel since I was like in high school and it's led to just a lot of like mishaps for me. And yeah, still into my 40s. So, I can't imagine it's going to get better and there'll probably only be more for me to tell. But yeah. So that's kind of that's what that is. So I'm guessing this would be a good story for you to call in with. Yeah.
It's the poop story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
How old are you during this?
third grade. You
Okay.
probably heard this story before. I feel like I've told
I don't,
story to you.
maybe, but I don't remember it.
Like, so let's just like acknowledge, as I'm sure you know from having kids, like digestion's a weird thing, right? When you're a kid, it's just, especially when we were kids, I don't know about your house, but like we weren't being fed food. It's like the 90s, it was just full of like fake foods, like, gushers and
Right,
dungaroos.
right, right.
God knows, like we're just putting this stuff into our fresh, clean little bodies, and like then a nightmare would come out the other end sometimes. So I have a few stories, but this particular one, I'm in third grade and in school. Okay. And I just remember I'm in class and I start to feel the rumble, you know, and like did you ever poop in school? Like the the worst thing was to poop in the school. Wanted to ask.
I've heard a lot of people say that, and I just didn't have the luxury of like picking where I was gonna shit. But I do hear a lot, and I understand that it's good. The shitting in school is awful. It's awful. It's like you're having to hide so much.
There's like a crack that wide. You close the
Yeah,
door, there's a crack that
yeah,
wide in the
yeah,
stall. Like, and then you'll just be in there, and then like there's some kid who'll just be watching you. Like the eyeball will be right there, like the eye of
yeah.
Sauron. Just like,
Everybody fucks with a guy that's taking a shit in
and
high
they
school
say
bathroom.
like, are you taking a shit? Are you pooping? Well, I'm probably that age. It was more like, are you pooping? He's pooping, and then it's like, not only it's like, how dare you? How dare you shit? I mean, there's probably all kinds of psychological things tied up in that as a society that we're shamed for letting our shit out. And I remember, this is a side thing, but I remember as a kid, I had a weird bit of OCD with a lot of things, like washing my hands in boiling hot water for like 10 minutes, or like stuff like that, with like being terrified of germs. But like I would try to hold my shit in as long, like I would be playing and I just didn't want to stop playing. So, and I would have to shit. And instead of just going and taking that wonderful release of that shit, which I enjoy now every day as an adult, I would try to hold it in because I don't know. I didn't want to, like, they call that anal retentive, don't they? Isn't that like a Freudian? So anyway, like in class, this is happening and it's like, I'm just like, all right, I'm looking at the time. I'm like thinking, okay, I'm in this class. I know I have this much time left. After this class, we go home, what I'm thinking. But then we had like what was it? It was like A, B, C, D. and E days. Like the days of the week were like lettered, and depending on what letter, you had different classes or the day had a different schedule. And I remember like my eyes darting around the room as I realized, oh fuck, it's like B day or D day or something. That meant we had gym next. Before we went home, we still had gym class. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna shit myself if I try to go to the gym class. Like it was dawning on me, like I'm not gonna make it home if I have to go to gym. So I was like, I have to do this, but everyone's in class. If I go now during the class, no one's gonna, they would take us on scheduled bathroom breaks and we would all go in there and, kids would like pull their pants and their underwear the whole way down to their ankles to piss at the urinal
Right.
type thing. So like, I'm like, if I go now, I'll be alone and I can do it and no one's going to know. It's like getting away with murder. So I ask if I can go. I go and the bathroom is at the far end of the hall from where I am. And it's like, it might as well be like 3 miles away. So I'm like walking down this hallway. And as I'm walking, I'm realizing like it's trying to happen. Like my small butthole is here and this just like brown fist from inside aiming down is just starting to hammer my little butthole. And like I'm squeezing and I remember it's just you get that like like you get that shake of like holding it in and like my knees are shaking and my palms are sweating and I'm just trying to get there. And then, I grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and we grew up learning about the Johnstown flood of 1889 and the way that this dam it wasn't like an overflow of the dam. The dam was made out of like sticks and mud so that when it happened, it just happened. And it was the most destructive flood. So like what is that dam? The Beaver Dam, something in Johnstown. Like that dam broke, my little prepubescent butthole just gave in. Like any muscle. I mean, if you pick up a heavy weight and you try to hold that weight for an indefinite period of time, eventually the muscle is just going to give. It's going to reach failure. My butthole sphincter reached internal failure. And it's just that moment as I'm walking and it's like oatmeal starts coming out and filling, like, these are the era of tighty whities. So, filling the tighty whities. And but I just keep with every step, it releases more and there's so much. So like, I don't know what it was inside of me, but I get to the bathroom and I go into the stall and, I pull it all down. We got to see the damage here. I mean, I should have just ran out of the school and like ran home, like straight into the woods, but pull my pants down. And yeah, it's just like my underpants are basically a bowl holding all of this very soft stool. So I don't know what to do. So I just start scooping it out with my hand, scoop it out, throw it into the bowl, scoop it out, throw it into the bowl. And I get as much of it out as I can. I think I wipe up as much as I can, and I have to decide what I'm going to do. And by the way, as that's happening, some other kid comes in and like sticks his head under the stall and says, "You pooping? You pooping?" It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yes, I shit myself. Like, what do you think's happening? Like the level of retardation of little kids, Would you like as an adult, I would probably just if another adult stuck his head under the stall and asked if you were pooping moments after you shit yourself, you'd probably kick them in the face. Anyway, so like I leave and I'm just like, oh, the shame, like it's I was sweating a lot. And I remember like the sweat like dried immediately and I was like just sticky and cold and like cold in my pants. And like, once that shit goes cold, it's like horrible. Like you took like jelly out of the fridge and smeared it on your butt cheeks. So I get back to the class And I'm probably like no blood in my face. Like the whole class is in there.
Do
And
you have your underwear on right now?
I do.
Your shitty underwear?
A good question, actually. I think I kept the underwear. I may have
Oh
taken,
boy.
no, I've shit myself before as an adult where I've just disposed of the underwear.
Right. That's the
I-
move. Yeah.
Or I'm just like, fuck. And I just wrap the underwear up in toilet paper, put it in the trash. No one knows a thing. But no, I think I still have the shitty underwear on. I don't think it's run down my leg, but it's definitely like, it's a mess. It's a brown mess. And I walk in like, and it is like this squish, squish, squish as you walk. And I walk in, I start walking towards the teacher with this look, probably like, like I just, sidebar, I just read Crime and Punishment. It's like, part of me is like, I want to read like a substantial book, some real literature. It's really hard to read, very kind of dry, but it's all about this guy who kills somebody, then he has to kill somebody else in the process. And then it's basically him dealing with this guilt, Raskolnikov. So I basically walked into this classroom with this like I just murdered somebody with my bare hand. And she knew, the saint of a woman, she knew right away. She smelt it, dealt it.
If you walked in with your underwear, brother, you smelled so bad.
Oh yeah.
You just came in with
She was
a
like,
green
oh, this kid
smoke
just shit
around you.
himself. She's probably like this like 30-year-old woman, and like this little kid just shit all over himself. And like I actually, before, it's like a non-linear narrative. Like before this even happened, at some point that year or in previous school years, other kids shit themselves and everybody knows about it. And that kid, they never recover from that. I mean, maybe as a senior in high school, you don't exactly remember why no one talks to that kid, but that kid becomes ostracized. Like their life is over. That probably affects them to this day. So like I feel like I sensed that inherently. She was just like, are you feeling sick? He's like, you're feeling sick, right? And I'm like, yeah, I feel sick. That's it. Yeah. And go to the nurse, go to the nurse, Bzz, go to the nurse. So like I turned around, I went to the nurse. They called my mom. They gave me like temporary pants to wear, some like sweatpants. And my mom came and picked me up, and no one ever knew.
Oh wow, nice.
It's just
Good.
one of those things I kept such a deep secret for so long. But
Yeah,
oh,
man, that's whew, what a journey. We have to go through that kind of stuff though. You know what I mean? Really, yeah.
formative.
Good. Yeah, for sure. Like seeing shame and people feeling shame and thinking about shame and that going back to that emotional kind of like bookmarking that we do. It's like the reason we remember it is because of that
Oh,
heightened thing that just like pierced through all the monotony that life is. I think it gets all compressed down into these like little things and feelings more than anything. And I think, yeah, when you're so worried about something like that and you're so stressed out, it's so stressful having to poop in school. I used to like I went to a Catholic school. We were connected to a church. And so I would wait until I knew everybody was in class. Then I would ask to go to the bathroom and I would fucking beeline and go out the school and go into the church bathroom and shit in like a total peaceful, I mean, it was, if you were in the church, you would fucking hear me because I would just be like, no, I never pooped in a normal way. Like I always exploded. I
yeah.
didn't know what was going on with my system. I didn't even know I was like lactose intolerant. So I was still eating like cereal and yogurt in the morning, like coming into school being like, man, I have to like, why do I feel like so bad, you know? And so I would be like, just wait till I knew nobody was there and then go to this private little place. Yeah, man.
Oh, I mean, imagine like, I don't know, like it's just all these things come to mind. Like for one, if schools had single use bathrooms, you know, like if you go to a gym and you pay a lot of money for that gym membership, which I don't, so they don't have this. But if you do, you get individual stalls. So you can go in there, you close. It's like the new design where it's impossible for anyone to see in there. Like if they even
Nice.
just had that at schools, or if they had your own room You go in, you close the door. There's a lot of good ventilation. You can do your thing. How that would change kids' lives. But
Some
I'm also,
schools I don't know if they still do this, but they used to take the doors off of the
oh,
stalls because, like, if things were getting bad, you know what I mean? Like, just that's how worried they were. You can't even close the stall door. Like, I feel like the fear around giving a teenager, like, complete separation and isolation is, like, something they want to stay away from, getting on their hands.
gonna inject heroin into their assholes if we give them 5 minutes of privacy to shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the institution, it's building right there. Yeah.
brutal. It's
Yeah,
just I
man.
don't understand why. I mean, I get shit stinks, and it probably stinks because like we evolved. Like we don't want to be living in our own shit. Like if shit smelled amazing, we'd be smearing it all over ourselves, and then
Right.
we would be sick. But it's like the social shame of it all is kind of weird. It's like to a level that's a little insane, and I don't understand where that's coming from.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. When did it get chalked up as being, like that phrase, like your shit stinks too. Like all our shit, like that idea. It's just like, that's like the most, yeah, that's the most human, like just baseline thing that we have that like, we have to deal with these stomachs and like everyone's got a variety of it and we're putting things in and it's just like doesn't, you know, even if it's not, germ related or biologically affected. So if you eat something, whatever, I don't know. So we all have to deal with it in some way. A lot of people skate and get to do it alone and by themselves, not have to be like super shamed and embarrassed of it. And they feel okay judging others that I don't think people feel okay, do they? I don't know. They just feel weird. Still, people feel weird. Yeah. People don't like the grossness of it, and to
But
like apply grossness to
a
themselves.
sign of weakness or something.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
They say like schools were modeled off of like the way the Prussians modeled schools, like with discipline, and it's about turning kids into like good workers and good soldiers. I
Hmm.
wonder if that's like don't shit when you need to shit, you shit when we say you shit, kind of a thing. Like
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah. I can, I don't know. I wonder if my kids, what they'll end up doing. My kids right now, they don't seem to have any. I mean, when does shame kick in, I guess, when it comes around that? It's like right now, my kid shit on the beach today in a like a little toilet thing with a bag on it. And
Oh,
he didn't care at all. Like he sat like he was shitting in a toilet, but just in the middle of a beach, like hundreds of people around. And he was so casual about it that actually probably nobody even noticed he was doing anything. Um, but yeah, he had no shame at all. It was like when that kicks in, it'll be weird to see. Like I've seen it in little doses, but I could see like I don't see it around bathroom stuff at all. So I'm wondering like when it'll kick in and they'll start to be like an embarrassed. Probably like I don't know, third grade. When is that? How old are you in third grade? 10,
yeah.
11?
I would say like that's no,
Oh,
that's like eighth,
6.
seventh, eighth.
Yeah,
Third,
you're like
third grade, that's like six.
so I have third graders probably at this reunion then because everyone's in that like 5, 6,
When
7
did you
range.
first feel shame about?
Right, when do you guys feel shame yet?
Tell me about
Yeah.
your. Do you? Are they loose?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, I have a, school memory. Do you dream about your school a lot? I dream
oh,
about school all the time. Yeah.
high school. Still
Yeah. I
there.
yeah.
Missed a class all semester. I'm supposed to graduate. Now I can't graduate because I missed the
Why do
one.
we all have that same dream? That's so weird. It's again, it has to do with, like, just the heightened emotion, I think, just, like, all the stuff that, like, surrounded it, and all those yeah. I remember in grade school, I did you do, like we were doing, dissecting animals in 7th grade. And we had partners, like lab partners, and using scalpels, the formaldehyde or whatever that we had like a pig, and we kept coming back to it. It would have been 7th grade. Yeah. We were like kept coming back to it. You bag it up, put it in the refrigerator, come back to it you're only doing it for like a period,
That
I guess.
stinks too, right? Like
Yes,
smell.
it like really does start to be. yeah, you open that shit up, and then it never leaves that room, and you have to do other classes in that room, and like, yeah. So we're doing whatever, we're cutting it open, and my lab partner's got his scalpel out, and I go to go like this to raise my hand, and the scalpel cuts me. You'll never see this, but I got a scar right in here from this. So it cuts down, and I mean, I don't know if it was being cut or the formaldehyde or what. Like I like just it hurt so bad. I didn't know what to do. I just grabbed it and started screaming, and blood was like going out like this. And I ran into the hallway, and I was like, I just like fucking didn't know what to do. And my teacher, like it hurt so bad. I remember just screaming and like I didn't know what to do. And my teacher grabbed me and ran me into the sink at the back of the science room and held my hand and poured Comet into it.
Comet,
And
like
Comet, like a powder. Yeah, like yeah, totally.
Hardcore, like cleaning powder stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, which she presumably was using to clean the room. I don't know. Anyway, she just poured that in there. And what it did, and she knew probably that it would do this, but it like immediately stopped bleeding and started like coagulating and like whatever. So she knew that something like that was going to happen. Anyway, they clean me up and like wrap me up, and we go into the nurse's office and we call my dad and like, hey, this happened. I think that was like the period after lunch, which means there's probably like 3 or 4 periods. No one came to pick me up. I just sat there. Dude, nice. Nothing like sneeze. I just sat there, like holding myself, looking into this wound, seeing like I could see my bone, I could see the like muscle and fat and shit around. I could see everything. It just like it totally stopped bleeding. And just like standing and staring at it. And my dad, school ending, and no one being there to pick me up. Like 4 periods went by, and then like my dad coming late. He would have been late had I gone to the rest of my classes. Instead, I just sat in the nurse's office with this like finger with a hole in it, just like looking down at. Anyway, that is like the memory I have from grade school is like this, and again, super heightened and. Yeah. And it always, and still have that. And this would have been like, whatever, 7th grade is 12, 13 zone.
Did the knife, was the knife being used on the pig? So like, was there
we were
pig contact and then it sliced into you?
Yes. Yeah. We were in the middle of doing this thing. I know. And that formaldehyde, dude, like I don't know. I don't imagine, I don't know what it was, if I was panicking because I saw it or if it was like real pain, I don't remember. But I remember just like not knowing what to do and just like running out into the hallway, kind of being like, like I remember that very specifically, like what the lockers look like, and that the light, the fluorescent lights really weren't working that day. And I remember being really like dark, just being like, so what the fuck do I do?
Like, adrenaline dump. Right?
Yeah.
Like seeing this, like I did it was a fetal pig, right?
Yeah. Right.
I had to do that in biology, but I was in 10th grade, I think 10th or 11th. I was in like high school, definitely like car driving age. And I thought it was the grossest thing imaginable. I hated it. I was just super disgusted. The smell was so intense because it's a dead animal soaked in, I don't think it's formaldehyde because I hope not, because I think they figured out that's super carcinogenic. It's some other kind of similar. Yeah. Maybe it was, but no, but like, I just remember being disgusted by it and like them making us do all of these, just like, now I want you to take it was just like psychopathic shit to me. It was like, now we're going to fucking slice this thing, rip its organs out, identify the organs. And my lab partner was this girl who I will remain nameless. I ended up taking her to prom, and she was she was the second breast I ever fondled on prom night.
Nice.
But at the time, she was like considered the hot girl. So like by senior year, I had ascended the social order to get to take her to prom, felt her tit, dated for a few months, and that was it. But she loved it. She had zero problem with slicing this thing open and getting in there. And and it always kind of disturbed me. And she kind of made me feel bad that it disturbed me. Like I'm sorry, but it's a it's a pig that was aborted. It's an aborted dead pig soaked in chemicals. This is disgusting. Anyway, so yeah, the idea of like a knife going into that, it's already like psychologically something's happening. But then you're only like, how old? 10, 11 probably in seventh grade, like
Yeah, in
11.
seventh grade, probably 11. I think I was 13 in eighth grade, so probably 12. So I think like that's still, I mean,
Your
you
brain
know,
is fully, I don't know, but you're still kind of like a kid's brain. And then
yeah,
that knife soaked in dead pig particles and chemicals goes into now you're the pig.
yeah.
Your brain is like, I'm the pig.
Yes. I remember that being like a big part of it, worrying about what was stuck in me, like what
Yeah.
got in me, yeah, dude, and obsessing over it, like I just being like staring down at it, like looking at it, just the way that the stitches looked and shit, like how if you look, the way stitches look like kind of like spidery with the thing, your wound is like puffy and red, and just
Oh,
obsessing. I would get very like tunnel vision on stuff like that. When I can think about a lot of moments in my childhood. You're talking about like your OCD with the hand washing. I don't think that extreme, but I would find things that I would just like hyper focus on, like Ren and Stimpy view of it, when they would do those zoom in things. I would obsess on little things like that. And I remember having that and just being like, I could take my eyes off it and just had to keep like kind of like hiding it from myself and,
why was
uh,
your day so late?
working, and it was going to be late anyway. And I was often like, there was like an extended program after our school that I would have typically gone to, like in that scenario, just gone to school, gone to that thing, and like waited for my parents. But my parents both, their schedules, they were doctors, so they didn't. It was like if a thing went long, it just happened. They couldn't get out, and uh, I
Plus
have a
your
lot of memories of waiting for getting picked up. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that.
plus because he's a doctor, he probably understood within the first 30 seconds that he'll be fine.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Physically
Yeah,
he'll be fine. But
describe what
probably
it is. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, the incision this deep. Okay, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know,
I got, that
yeah,
just
the
reminded me
nerve
of it.
freaking out probably.
Just reminded me of this time that I had, swine flu. You remember when swine flu
Uh,
was a thing? Like 2009, maybe, I want to say, and winter 2009. And, I was out on a production. I got swine flu. It had been going around our like crew. It was winter and we're outside, and, um, I got it, and I was in my hotel room, and I just knew I had to go to the doctor, like I had to go to the ER. I was like, I have to go. So anyway, I checked myself. I went in. I remember being in the parking lot, like almost unable to like get out of my car and get in there, like just being like so I couldn't believe I made it there driving, just being like, can't get out of the car now.
yeah.
And my dad being like, I want to talk to the doctor, and like having to hand my phone off and like laying in this bed, watching this doctor listen to my dad talk to him, thinking like this, like watching his face, and
What
like
was
the way he was like giving his, yeah, like just like so annoyed that he had to like, whatever.
great?
Anyway.
This guy's dad's a fucking doctor. So
Yeah, right,
your dad was like doctoring the doctor. Like, have you
right.
checked this? Did you even consider this?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, him like,
I consulted your dad. Not ever. I've never met your dad actually, but like I do. Do you remember? I had this pain in my balls at some point in New York, and I like was kind of freaking out about it, and I had you ask your dad, like,
mm.
should I be worried? And he basically said no. And I think it was just because I like sat down bad on a bike seat, so it was fine. But
I wonder how many times my dad has been like reached out to, and it's got to always be sexual related, like, just he's got, because I know my friends will be like, yeah, I've heard that story. Like, I don't personally remember asking him, but I have done it, so I know that like, but, having so many times with my friends, but yeah, I called your dad. Just I wanted to ask him about, some stuff. It's just like the only thing that you're calling my dad about is like this thing that you just don't want to talk to somebody else about. And it's so funny to think like my dad knew these guys when they were kids. Now this is like what their relationship is, Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Does anyone ask your mom? Your mom's a doctor too, right?
I may have.
Is everyone sexist? No one
Yeah,
cares.
yeah. My male friends definitely. I may have friends like because my parents were the doctors of like 30% of my school. Do you know what I mean? Like there were only four or five doctors and that did what they did. We have just general practitioner doctors, So you just had your doctor. There were so many of like everybody was their patient. So it was just like, uh, yeah. I don't know where the fuck. Oh, actually, you know what? That kind of make. I have a question for you. Do you remember what was your version of getting like a sex ed combo? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Maybe. I mean, I never got one. They never did
Okay.
it in school. I learned about sex through porn, like
Okay.
probably American people, and my whole understanding of it kind of maybe there was a very quick, like mechanical, like, you know, this is a penis, pee comes out of it, and also semen, and it goes. But like, I don't really have much of a memory of doing sex.
We have like sex ed memories, like how they described it to. Did you go to a public school or were
Oh,
you at like a, okay. Did they, because you feel like they have some standardized delivery
I
system for it.
feel like I just don't. I feel like the only thing I remember is vaguely like the gym teacher being forced to like point at a chart of the human body. So whatever you just said, that there's probably a standardized, there probably is, and they probably did the absolute minimal
Right.
thing, probably in part because the kids are animals at that age, and like any talk of it, it's gonna make everyone crazy, So they probably just brushed through it as fast as they could in like health. We had health class, but yeah, I feel like they were just telling us how to put deodorant on and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a Catholic school, so I've always thought that's why it was so poor, because it was it was always just sort of like a teach abstinence, at least, especially during high school. Like, I would even say the way my delivery system for it, when I think about high school, I feel like they just kept, and that was like, I guess grade school was too Catholic. The Catholic way of doing it was just like teach abstinence. You're teaching abstinence. You don't need to be teaching sexual education because what you need to be teaching is abstinence. Like, we don't have sex. This is why we don't have sex. And like, that's how at least remember it. And I remember like them having a diagram. This was high school, but like of a sperm cell and then like an AIDS cell. And it was like, this is how, just like, and that's how I like, I had one that was like a religious based teacher. And I think there was like religion around it. I think it was like, the class was like love, sex, and marriage or something like that. And it was like the religious take on it. That's the class that had the sperm cell and the AIDS cell. And it was abstinence until marriage is what they're teaching. And anyway, but when I was in sixth grade, I was getting in a lot of trouble. Like, I was just like getting detention a lot and like talking up and joking with my friends and just getting in trouble. I don't know. Not paying attention. And my parents had to come in for this like parent teacher conference to talk about my behavior. And in the conference, the teacher, who was like I remember her being a new teacher at the time, realized that my parents were doctors in the dialogue with them, and brought up while we were there, like, oh, I didn't realize, we're teaching a like sexual education class, and I could really use. She brought this. I remember her bringing this up to me. I could really use some help on that, and they were like, "Well, give us a call if you need to talk things through or whatever." And a day or two later, my parents sitting me down at the counter and being like, "Your teachers asked us to come into your class to talk about sexual education,"
Wait,
and to this day,
how
have you never heard this?
sixth grade?
S- Sixth grade, I think it's like 12, maybe. you know um and yeah, dude, so I remember being told that. I To this day I can't remember like why I would agree to it, but I do looking back at the rest of the sexual education I got, I see what my parents did as a huge value, because people, and I think they probably painted that picture for me there, because I don't know why I agreed to it. It's hard to imagine why I agreed to them doing this, but they basically pitched it as, we're going to come in, I think it was 3 times. They're going to split up the group. My mom's going to take the girls. My dad's going to take the boys. They're going to have like a little curriculum at the end of every episode, at the end of every class. They're going to like talk about, kind of open the floor to you.
Yeah.
To talk. He lays out the curriculum. I remember that kind of going down. Anyway, go back into school, and now I remember this. We're separating the rooms, and it was like going to pop up, I guess, once a week. And we sit down and we all talk about, like, I don't remember him going through the class and just being so humiliated immediately and just being like, why did I fucking agree to this? And so I still think, why did I agree to this? Why did I agree? So I keep thinking like, it must have been pitched to me a certain way that is, now I'm able to see better. Like this was the most sex education any of these like kids got, for sure. And I remember my dad like going through it. He had like a penis drawn on the board. Like, he was pointing things out. He was going through everything. Like what's that?
He drew a penis.
Yeah, he either drew a penis or he had a diagram of, because I remember him like referencing parts of it, and being like that. And just, I think he did draw it because like when I think about him, he would have just been like, here you go. Here's like the, just like just setting it off onto this like really bad course. And I remember just being like fucking humiliated and just being like sitting in the back, just like, I can't absorb any of this. But everybody that I grew up with remembers that. They all remember that class. And at the end of it, I remember he opens the floor. I only remember him opening the floor once, and maybe he did do it the first time and decided against it afterwards, because like the questions were, it was just boys trying to get reactions, and my friend, the empathetic asshole from the earlier story, when we were 13 years old, was just trying to get reactions. And and he had an older brother. And porn was in his life to some degree because of that, like just older brother giving him stuff. And I remember him like describing a scene with a double anal, a double anal dildo, describing the scene, asking like what the pleasurable factor was. And maybe it wasn't double anal, maybe it was like but it was a double dildo. I remember the double dildo part being a part of it, and him just being like trying to, my brother showed me this video about, and there were these 2 girls, like, and he just described the scene, like, and everybody's just like welling up around us, telling him, and I'm just sinking down like, oh my God, my dad's hearing this, and just being like, I remember being so embarrassed of that, and him being afterwards being like, you're never going to his house again. And it's amazing that he remained one of my best friends, and that I kept going to his house. It is kind of amazing to think my dad heard that version of it and allowed that. But I wonder how much of it he had to black out, because it couldn't have been easy. Like, it had to be very hard. And actually, he's down here, obviously, on this trip. And I think I should probably bring it up. Yeah, bring him on in. Yeah. I think
let me tell you how.
Yeah. I think I should just ask him his memory of it. But I think about it all the time, because I'm like, I'm going to have that conversation with my kids. I remember being just really, I don't know about you, but I had like such a small class in my Catholic school. There was only, I think my graduating class was like 80 people maybe. And 3 people were pregnant by the time we left school. You know what I mean? Like only half those people were girls. And it's like the three people in a group of 35 or whatever it's nuts. And I remember thinking, like, as we kind of like got into college, just being like, where was that like course on how to put on a condom? Like, how to put on a condom is like that. What, you can't just like send people off into the world like that and expect things aren't going to go wrong. And then, you look at these kids are walking down the hall pregnant, like you literally like, it's your failure in front of you, and you're not adapting
the abstinence teaching isn't exactly working. Maybe we need
to. Right. And it's just like, just imagine if you had instructed these guys on the time that was the best to have sex to avoid that and ways to avoid, this and certainly make sure people understand that there's no pressure to have sex. You don't have to have sex. But if you are, here's the way to like manage it, and like it's crazy to me that you send people out into the world. So when I look back at this thing with my dad and my mom, it's like, yeah, it was incredibly embarrassing. But in later life, I have been like, I mean, at least they did something and gave us some information. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's the
but kind of
difference.
wild.
Having doctors explain it in that very clinical, direct way that doctors do so well versus like the gym teacher who is also the health teacher. And it's like,
Right.
think about, and this is like, I mean, you grew up in Wheeling. I grew up in a place called Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I mean, similar, very similar, I would say, sort of. So imagine like a gym teacher in one of these small towns, small like valley towns, just having to explain to a bunch of animals like how that works.
You're not equipped for it. It's not something you're signing up for it's just a part of that job, and you probably have like a mandatory like 3 weeks where you have to touch on it, because I remember being in high school, it being like the basketball coach, and it was just we were divided up men and women. And like, do you remember that? I remember this terminology of milky white substance to talk about semen. And like, that's really all I remember is like them describing and it's like, that's what they were saying. So it's like, what am I, you know what I mean? Like, you're not even like this. I get that a lot of kids like just they don't even know. And you're trying to explain to them what is, sperm, how do you come? What do you do? How do you do it? I guess that's probably where you start. But like, I just like that and being so confusing, this like milky white substance. What is this like? Yeah.
It's also like it's so clinical that like no one talks about the psychological, emotional aspects of any of this stuff. Jerking off, porn, sex when
Right.
you're young, sex before marriage. It's because it's like I do think like I don't think kids should just be having sex casually, because you have other schools that are on the other end of the spectrum where it's just like, not only is it okay to have sex whenever you want, but it's encouraged and we're going to hand out condoms to everyone. And here's,
Right.
here's how you have straight sex and here's how you have anal sex. And, literally this happens in some schools and then parents find out and they're like, what the fuck? And then sometimes it happens with like excessively young kids, so,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the same, but it's like either way, no one's really talking about like the psychological effect of like an orgasm. Kind of, it's awkward to even talk about it now as adults, but
Sure.
it's like there's a lot of addiction tied up in it. I think nowadays with porn, which I feel like we've talked about enough in past episodes, we don't have to talk about anymore. But like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just think it's kind of funny how it's like, well, we got to talk about sex, but we're not gonna we're just gonna talk about it like it's taking a shit. Like it's nothing spiritual or emotional or anything. We're gonna
Right.
cover the mechanics and move on. But
Yeah. I wonder, I don't remember, but I wonder how much of that love, sex, marriage class did do that. Cause that seems like the opportunity for it. It's like, you want to talk about sex, but you want to try to frame it from a spiritual sense and say this is, ideally reserved for people that you are in love with and getting married to or whatever. But I don't remember it being that way. I just remember the sperm cell and the AIDS cell picture that hung up in front of us. Uh, but yeah, it's like it is like it would be such a delicate balance. Like I say it like it should have been better, but at the same time, it's like the other side of that is that you're overdoing it, and I think that like it's important, you got to find some sort of balance where these people don't like go out into the world not understanding, you know,
I
how
mean,
to protect
ideally,
themselves.
kids their parents would teach them this stuff.
Yeah,
It is
we
kind of
would
like
totally.
if I was a teacher, I would be like, why are we gonna talk? Like
Sure.
these kids need to learn math and how to read.
Right.
We really got to talk about this. Like it does
Right.
feel like some things parents really got to step, but I get it. Like some parents aren't going to do that.
Right.
So do you do?
Yeah. And it seems to me like if you want to talk about, I don't want to go here, but if really, I just want to touch to where I think this is, because I think about this a lot, but it's like, if you want to say like, go so extreme as to say like abortion is 100% illegal, then back where it's saying like you can't use birth controls in some places, but you owe people a understanding before they go into the world about how to avoid these circumstances. If you're going to say you can't do this stuff, as a society, we owe people going forward that they understand how to avoid. They understand their own bodies. They understand how you're talking about like a biological imperative. You know what I mean? You're not talking about like something they can just like avoid by being good kids. Like it's literally in them, pulling them at that age, especially, but throughout all of our lives. Like you can't not. That's like the most important thing you could give anybody. And it's like, because you can't rely on parents to do it, like we have to as a society. If you want to say this, you fucking owe this. You know what I mean? Like if you want to say something so extreme as that this, then then this is the how you get people to this point. You don't just say like you can't. Whoa, fucking talking about like young kids that don't fucking get it. They're just going in the world and it's like the first time they have sex, they're pregnant. Like that's yeah.
Your biology doesn't care.
Exactly.
Your millions of years of evolution. It's like little girls get their period, and then it's like, all right, fill them up. Get as many babies as you can before they fall apart. It's like that's what the body cares about. So if we're gonna go against that, you know, there's got to. Yeah, you're right. There's got to be an equally strong imperative that sort of transcends the biological imperative. And you could say it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's psychological, but like you really got to, if you're going to go there, you're right. You really got to go there. Like, let's really talk about, you're going to, like, God, I remember. So when I was in like high school, like it's kind of like complicated, but one of my best friends turned out to be gay down the road, but like he wasn't openly gay at the time. But like, I was straight, you know, wasn't even, he would act kind of gay, but we just kind of thought that's just how he is. But like, looking back, I realized like I had this like, I just wanted to talk to girls, like literally any opportunity. I just wanted to talk to girls and like be close to girls and like smell like, they smell so good. You know, it's like that. I had that biological, like everything wanted me to like, reproduce basically everything biologically. But like when I think back, we would go to these like school events together, and he would always sort of like steer us away, constantly steering us away. And I sort of like, I thought that was coming from like a moral place. Like, you know, he was also Catholic, you know, like, he doesn't want us to give in too much to whatever this is. I wasn't like consciously thinking that, but I was just like, all right, we're not, it seemed like constant self-control he was exercising. Little did I know there was other things happening that I didn't know about, you know? So it's like, he was getting the rocks off, just like not in the way. So I don't know how that relates, but like just being at that age, like I remember being around like 14, and there would be like a festival in town, like like a religious festival, but it's like there's carnival rides and food and stuff like that. And just there would be girls around my age walking around, and like the excitement of just like, how can we get these girls to look at us and laugh at what we do or say? You know, it wasn't even like sex, but it was like the adolescent many steps before that of like, I just
wanting attention by them. Yeah.
But like that. But I guess my point is like I had that weird aspect of like, and I just feel like because of this friend, I sort of suppressed it a lot more than I naturally would have. But then looking back, I'm also glad, like I had a girlfriend in 10th grade. We did a bunch of stuff. We did everything except stick it in there, you know, and that was because of her. She didn't want me to stick it in there, but the only thing I wanted in the world was to stick it in there and just let it do its thing, you know. But imagine, like, I was in 10th grade. That's like 15. I could have been a teen. I could have been one of those teen dads. Like, so clearly, like, I just lucked out. You know, I feel like a lot of people don't have kids when they're teenagers out of sheer luck. Where like, I don't know. I don't know what my rant is all about there, but
Yeah, but I
complicated.
mean, like, it is just why I think it's like the most important time to talk because you're taking this person that's like got no real sense of the world, and you have to be like waking them up a little bit about this thing. And it's like, I don't want like, you shouldn't be feeling shame around it. You should just like understand it, and you should talk about like all the factors. There should be a whole breakdown. One of them should be like the mental part of it, and the connection to it and what it can be as an ideal sense mentally, because if you can at least paint the image, even though you have to do it carefully, I'm not saying whatever, but if you could carefully paint the image for people, then there's at least some marker in their life of like what it could be because somebody told them and let them know. And maybe they're not paying attention. Maybe you don't hit everybody, but like you just want people to go into the world with like healthy sexual, like understanding. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no society that benefits from anything else. Like you just need people to understand this stuff and know that there's like a marker for it. And then, okay, you're going to have your own thing, but like, here's an understanding about how you do things, because I just feel like there's so many opportunities like of these things where it's like, how many times did this like 16-year-old girl even have sex and she got pregnant? Like the first fucking time this person, you know what I mean? Like how unfortunate that just somebody didn't help the people around here understand the need for a condom. That's all we had to do. That's all we
But
had to do.
the other flip side of it is like, you know, most people become so good at not having kids that they never have them.
Sure.
And enough
Sure,
people
sure.
do that, which is kind of when you look at all the numbers, uh, they say like most of the West, definitely in Asia, we're like, there's some cool videos where they really break it down. Like there's basically a population collapse that we are careening towards. And the way like I've heard it described is that you don't really know it's a problem until it's too late. And then all of a sudden no one's around. There's just no one around. There's not enough people to work to take care of the old people. Like there's not enough people to take care of, so you have to bring in all these I mean, this gets super political, but like you have to bring in people from other countries to start doing all of these jobs, but that instantly and rapidly changes your country. And I mean, it's a big thing these days. And it's kind of like, I know there's a lot of women that don't want to have kids until they're older, but then when is the perfect time? And then for some, it becomes too late and they regret that. So kind of crazy. It's just like why we've evolved past where our bodies want us to start having kids as soon as possible. We're like, we need some time, but then we take that time and your body's looking at it, stop watch, like, actually too late now. So,
Right. Right.
and by the way, your entire country's collapsing because everybody did it. So,
Right. Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
let's leave that because that's
that's
too
a good
much.
way to end a youth episode, an
Yeah.
episode about youth.
Uh, I did want to tell one other story that's a
Please.
little more serious. I mean, it's not heavy serious, but like just and if you have any, I just didn't want to talk about kids having sex anymore. I'm like,
Sure. Yeah.
but like we because we talked about talking about memories, formative memories, funny memories, stuff like that. But uh man, I have this story when I was so my mom had like seizures when I
Mhm.
was a kid. She would just randomly have like a seizure. And I have this memory of waking up one morning to the sound of her body hitting the ground. Like really, probably like 6 in the morning. It was like she fell out of bed. And so I woke up to the sound of a body hitting the ground. I go and I look and like she's on the ground having a full seizure. And so I go to grab the phone, but we were kind of poor at this point. So like she hadn't paid the phone bill. So the
Mhm.
phone wasn't working. I'm probably like around 8 or so, 7, 8. So what do I do? So like I decide to run to my grandparents' house, which it wasn't that far. It's kind of up the street, but like a few streets and uphill. I start like throwing my shoes and I just go running to my grandparents' house. And but like it's uphill. All the streets are uphill. And I remember getting like, I'm running and like my fucking like lungs are burning and my heart is pounding. And I'm like, and I'm thinking like, I just want to stop running and just walk. But I'm thinking, what if I walk, my mom could die. So it was like this super clear, like I have this, like, I'm butting up against my physiological limitations, but that thing, I don't know, that tension of like, I have to keep going. But I did stop. I remember stopping and walking to catch my breath, and this like shame of feeling like it's because I'm not strong enough to run the whole way that my mom's going to die. Anyway, I got there. They called an ambulance. She didn't die. She's still alive. But yeah, I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, that thing stuck with me my whole life of like, I just, maybe part of the OCD comes from that, or maybe like I try to work out a lot, but it's just that feeling of like, there may come a point in your life where you have to be capable, you know? And as a kid, like that feeling of like, I'm just a kid, like a kid shouldn't be put in that, my voice just cracked in a really lame way. A kid shouldn't be put in a situation where they feel like that but life happens. So I don't know what my point is, but uh,
It's
yeah,
just one of those
more,
moments that, yeah, again, packed with like the shame that you felt. And it's just like, oh, yeah, that's going to bookmark that level of that. And you do, that's funny. I wonder how much of like exactly what you're saying, like that deep seated, what's the time I might need to keep running, but I might need to keep doing the thing. Like I'll dream of that too. Like the idea that like you just need to do something and you're just not able to do it for your own like physical capacity. Like, like stop and just like be like, I'm not strong enough. And it's still walking. Like, yeah,
uh,
that's a
uh,
beautiful little like harrowing moment for you in there. Like,
yeah, yeah. I thought I had more
like
to
that.
say about it, but yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Just one of those, like, I guess like with a lot of these stories, there's a lot of shame. Like when you're a
Right.
kid, I think when you hit a certain age too, like 6, 7, 8, like you're trying to figure out who you are. And I mean, that goes on for a while, I would say, but like it starts there. And there's so much like, I don't know about you, but like I feel like there's so much shame involved. Like you don't want to
Totally.
you don't want to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. Like, I feel like so much of being a kid is just like punishment, like not even direct from your parents, but just like life fucking smacking you around until you kind of shaping you into who you are.
Yeah, I have a lot of like feeling of being embarrassed, which I would put with shame, just the like embarrassment thing. And those being moments that I was logging all the time because it was just like, fuck, just always you try something, doesn't work, especially around women in like whatever, the earliest stages all the way to fucking, now. Like there's still moments where you're like, damn, man, this is like embarrassing moments, and those things will just like eat at you. And they really form you, those things. Like that's what's forming you. Cause it's like you do it and that embarrassment is like, okay, all right, that was wrong. And like you hope that you kind of like correct a little bit and not too hard. And if there is too hard, like you're just gonna be embarrassed on this side too. And like, and it's just kind of trying to keep you like, yeah, in line, all that embarrassment. Um, and I've always been like super impressed by people that could just like in an early age, especially just let stuff go and like didn't seem to be embarrassed by stuff. Um, I
Yeah,
had a
but
guy in my
they turn into people who just don't give a shit about anything. No.
totally, yeah, totally, yeah. It's good to be embarrassed. I mean, it's important to be embarrassed. I could think that that's probably why I am what I am, for better or worse. But yeah, I think so much of it is like the embarrassment, the shame, the heightened emotion around it, and just like yeah, that feeling of like I don't know, like I have so many like memories of like that I would just sit and think about. Like you do it and be like, that's what I think about when I think of like the shame, embarrassment. Just like I couldn't get anytime I was alone, it'd just be like in my head, you feel like stupid. You're like, yeah, that's it's kind of how I remember most of childhood. Like if I have to boil it down to like a feeling, it is kind of like embarrassment and there were good times and like yeah, I had a lot of fun, but I have a lot of more feelings that are prominent are embarrassment and shame and yeah.
Yeah, when we talked about talking about this stuff for this episode, I was like, let's talk about like funny like things. And I started to think about it. I was like, I have so many traumatic, at least how
Yeah.
I remember them, like heavy, kind of dark memories, you know, nothing like I know some people have seriously traumatic memories that break them probably. Like I feel like I had just enough that I could manage, but like uh obviously all that stuff has shaped me and made me who I am. I just wonder, like, I don't have kids. I'd like to have kids one day. We'll see. You have 2 sons. Like, do you I mean, do you want them it comes down to this question of, like, is the shame necessary? Do you want them to be embarrassed? Obviously, I feel like instinctively you'd wanna protect them from as many bad feelings as possible, but do you ever have to manage that line of, like, well, they're gonna have to feel pretty uncomfortable things to grow? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's weird because I also like my whole life I've felt that like sort of like secondhand embarrassment thing for other people, you know, like when you see somebody in it and you just want to kind of like I'm sorry and you feeling like awkward and the shame for them in part. And that happens a lot with my kids where I'll see that there, especially when it's these interactions with other kids and they just like cross a line with another kid and another kid tells them one way or the other and they're just like, woo, you see them and they're like, they just feel like, oh shit, I was acting this one way and this guy doesn't like it. And you watch them try to bounce back and you want to be like, dude, it's okay. Just don't smack her in the face or whatever the fuck, you know, like it is that kind of stuff. Like down here, there's so much of that. Like they got these noodles for the pool. He hits one of his cousins. The cousin's like, don't do that. And he's like, you know, uh, and he, and I could see him be like, this kid could start crying. And I have a couple times be like, dude, it's okay. Exactly that. Just, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. Get back in there. Just don't. You don't want to hurt people. This is a thing you're doing over here. You can hit daddy. Like I'll say stuff like that, like, but not them. And you want to try to like take that, learn that lesson, and like you don't want to feel that pain again. So like, but at the same time, they'll be doing something that you're like, you're not listening to me. I'm trying to tell you, man, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. And then it happens and you're just like, you
Yeah.
feel it more because you've been trying to like enforce it and you realize like it's not working. And what needs to happen is that they need to go through the thing. And so you get glimpses of that. Um, but it is like, in a weird way, like don't want to be around it. I'm like, don't, it's like uncomfortable
Yeah.
to watch just from a secondhand nature, remembering it, you know, and you just have this impulse to like put them at ease about it, you know? Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
But
important. And
oh, go on.
no, no.
Oh, just you were the pool noodle thing reminded me. I feel like we all have that memory from when we were kids where we accidentally physically assault somebody and then we feel the shame. At least we should, you know, like maybe some people that are now in prison, they never have that formative moment. But like I have this memory, this kid I went to school with, and I think my mom was friends with his mom. He was over my house and we were like, you know, WWF was big at that age. So we were like kind of wrestling, like pretending we were WWF guys. And I don't know, but like I think I just like I threw him to the ground. He was kind of bigger than me too, but like I somehow got him on the ground on his back. And I just, you know, the wrestlers would like stand and like stamp their foot down on the chest of the other guy. But obviously they're doing it in a way where they're like they're not actually like doing it, you know?
Right,
I
right.
was just stamping on the chest of this kid, like in his diaphragm, just like, ah, like, and I remember it felt so good and exciting. Like, I'm winning. This is a good, but I remember his face like turned completely red and he was like in a lot of pain and he couldn't breathe. I think I probably like, you know, like knocked the wind out of him or whatever. And then like, it's like the spell was broken. Like that demon came in and was like, "You fucking kill him." And then like the spell was broken. I was like, "Oh, that shame of like." I mean, that's so good though, because like I feel like if you don't have that moment, like, oh god, I was like actually, I made him feel all of this pain. We were playing, but now he's like crying and he can't breathe. You know, like big moments.
Totally. It's so funny that like this is just because we are of this era, but I have specific acting out WWF moments that led to like real moments of violence and having to kind of correct on both ends and having it linger like for a while in the lives of us, you know. Yeah, it's funny. That was such an era of like we're gonna pretend we're wrestlers, and then you start doing something, you cross the line a little bit, and yeah, and it's at somebody else's house, and it's like awkward because their mom sees you doing it. It's like really confused why he's got a bloody nose and or why you guys aren't talking to each other anymore. Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's I really do think it like just think about it with my kids all the time and on this trip, like what of this are they going to remember? Nothing. My youngest son is not going to remember anything. But if it keeps happening, does it just compress down into this like feeling and a good feeling, a positive feeling, and the only stuff that you end up really logging are, I mean, majority traumatic events because that's when everything spikes, the environment around you spikes, and your body is going like, this is important for whatever reason. Look around, take it in, and so you end up like taking these like mental snapshots because it's so heightened, and it's like, anytime you hear my kids or even my nieces and nephews when they talk about a memory, it's always like it is always around something that is heightened one way or the other. Even like if it's a birthday party and some fucking character comes out that they weren't expecting or whatever, it's like that kind of thing. It's just like, oh, we did this for so long, and all of a sudden, a 6-foot bluey walked in the fucking room, and like that. So there are like moments you can see that they like remember that stuff, and how long, and just I think the more traumatic and the more like impactful and heightened everything is around you, probably the more you're logging it. Which kind of sucks because you could be on this vacation and do all these fun things and have like 5 minutes when you're getting pissed off and you say something nasty or you snap at them or you have to, whatever, put them up in their room or put them in timeout. And that's the fucking thing they end up remembering of a very costly and time consuming, devoted trip essentially for them. And yeah, that can be a bummer to think about sometimes. Be like, man, you can't remember any of this.
Yelled at me. Like,
Yeah. Which like makes me think because I think about like with my dad, like I've said this before, but I don't have like a ton of I don't have any memories of him like really like playing with us and stuff. But he's my dad, and I have good feelings attached to him. Like imagine that he did. I just don't have any memories of it. That's 100% of what I do with my kids right now. So are they not going to remember any of this shit? Like are they ever going to even remember that we play around and we do goofy things and or will we have to like tell them that and be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember. Like that's all it's gonna fucking boil down to in the end, anyway.
if they don't remember it, it's like it'll be wired in there. That's what really
Yeah,
matters.
yeah.
Even
That's what I think that feeling is. It's just
maybe like 30 years from now, they'll have this like, they'll remember it. But I think that security, all of that positivity, that's wiring their brain, just like the traumatic stuff. Just like
right.
5 minutes of trauma can wire it, like 5 years of good stuff do the same.
Yeah.
On that note, would you ever be open to having your dad as a guest on the podcast?
Yeah, yeah. Let me warm up to it, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That would be
Because him being down here, like honestly, we were just saying the thing about the sex ed class. I was like, I don't think I ever talked to my parents about that. Like I was like, we're never talking about this. And we didn't, it's like, I got my sex education while everybody in my class got it from my parents when everybody got it, so, and we never really brought it up. And I think all of my friends, like I have some friends that will bring up stories to them of just shit we got into. They also don't do it because I think they're also embarrassed probably about the way that they acted, like especially the one not mentioned friend. But, yeah, man, I think, it would be cool to hear him and then to hear you talk to him and whatever. So I could see it going down. I just gotta warm up to the idea of it. Yeah. Yeah.
cool. Well, we did it. I would
Did it.
feel like with hour and a half, it's like our window. We're not on that Joe Rogan level
No,
yet.
my God, no.
Wow.
Yeah. No one listened to 3 hours of us. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah,
Good to
man.
see
Good
you.
talking to you.
Enjoy your trip.
Thanks,
And
dude. Good
yeah,
talking
ask
to you.
your dad about the sex ed. And hear what
Yeah. I'll bring it up and at least have some. Yeah. See what he says about it and what he remembers and how much he blacked out. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, dude. Yep.
Talk
Good to talk to you, man. Later.